Hi, I'm Christine Schiavone, and our show is Spiritual Exploration. Tonight, we're going to talk about intuitive astrology. We're all familiar with astrology, but not intuitive astrology, which I have a lady with me tonight, Carol Adams. Hello, Carol. Welcome to the show.
Christine? Thank you.
You're welcome. And we're going to talk about intuitive astrology. Now, tell us what is. We know everyone's familiar with astrology, but not intuitive astrology. Explain to us what it is and what is the difference.
Well, I think most people are used to more the scientific astrology. They get a chart done. You know, they have the houses, the planets in the houses, the signs in the houses. But I don't do that, not to confuse you. I basically look at the ephemeris, which is this book over here. I think I showed that to you. I can certainly show that to your viewers. And in it is, what I really do with it is I look up the 7 personal planets and the signs in the planets. And from that, I get an idea, a feeling, intuitive feeling of the personality traits.
Now, tell us about these 7 planets. You told me earlier that each of us is born under 7 planets.
Right. Okay. Well, we have more planets, but the planets that I look up for the personal part of is the sun sign, which of course is like the zodiac sign, the moon, then we have Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Each one of these planets has some type of meaning. And in each of these planets, there's a sign. So it gives more definition as far as the personality traits, okay?
Now, in other words, like we all have 7 signs, and those are among them, but they're just in a different order for each of us.
Yes. In other words, I always go back to the root of the tree. The root of the tree, if you can, to visualize it, is the sun sign. Such as if you were Cancerian, the root of the tree would be Cancer. Then you have the branches. The branches, in this case, are the 6 other planets around that, you know, giving more definition, more meaning to the root, to your sun sign, okay? So again, you have the sun sign, and you have 6 planets and signs in it, with each planet giving more definition. And I use that a lot with people, in relationships and partnerships. I don't just look up the zodiac sign. I look up the total birthday, the month, the date, and the year. It's not just the zodiac sign, which we're all led to believe. You know, we all look in the newspaper, the magazine. Right. And a lot of people will look up, for instance, if you're Cancerian, you might look up to see that you're compatible with the 2 other water signs, or your opposite is Capricorn. Right. Okay, but what we're doing here, what I'm doing is basically getting not just your zodiac sign, it's the whole birthday that's creating and that's formulating. It's like a formula. And when you put this together, your main focus for people is relationships. Yes, I mean all types of relationships. Right, there partnerships. Yeah, there's many different types. There's husband and wife, there's lovers, there's child and parent, there's business relationships, there's friendships, there's, I mean, a wide array of relationships, and that's what you deal with. Right. Any time somebody is relating to somebody on any type of consistency, in a way, that's a type of relationship. There's all intensities. You know, I call it like from number 1 to number 10. In other words, to me, and more number 10 would be somebody living with somebody. That's real number intense. 1 would be maybe casual the mailman or somebody who's you're seeing, but you're not really getting too emotionally connected to. I see. Okay, so basically I use the total birthday with any form of a partnership relationship. All right, well, let's take an example now. You have your book there. You call it what? This is called the American Ephemeris, EPHERIS. EMERIS, okay, and now what is an ephemeris? Well, to put it very simply, it's a how can I explain it? It shows, in scientific terms, really, the aspects when you've been created. You know, the angles, etc. But I don't look at it scientifically. Somehow I look at it more intuitively. All right, I'll tell you what. You need a birth date, right? Yes. Not a time, though, just a birth date? Birthday is fine. Okay, fine. So, all right, I'm 7/10/51. 7/10/51. July 10th, 1951. Okay, so what we're doing with this is we're looking up your total birthday. Right, okay. Okay? And if you can visualize, and if your viewers can visualize columns.
Columns.
Vertical columns. And in each column, at the top of each column is a planet. And then you have a sign for each of those planets when you were born. Okay? So, for instance, 7/10/51, your zodiac sign or your sun sign is in Cancer. Your moon, I don't know the exact time you're born, let's say it's in Libra. Okay, your moon.
Okay, wait.
Now, the moon is the way you show feelings, and sometimes it also shows how you have connected to your mother, you know, the relationship you had also. So moon in Libra.
My mother was a Libra.
She was a Libra?
Yes.
Okay. So people who have moon in Libra tend to, again, we're just doing very generalization.
Right, just in
okay.
general.
We tend to use the word we a lot. They connect to the other person a lot because Libras in general are involved with other people. They're partnership oriented. It can be constructive or destructive, but they tend to be partnership oriented. So the moon to you would be very sensitive. You know, it would be extremely sensitive. You'd be sensitive towards your other partner in what other type of relationship it is. Your Mercury, which is the planet of communication, it's the messenger. Yours is in Leo, which would show that you need maybe a lot of drama, or you can be expressive, you know, with your feelings, or exaggerate, you know, like to feel that you're noticed, we'll say.
To try to get a point across?
Yes, or to get a point across, okay? Because that's the drama. Drama likes to get things across, right? A point across. I mean, sometimes they can exaggerate more intensely to get it across, we'll say.
Maybe,
you know?
yeah, just to get the point, yes.
Right. Okay, and then your Venus, which is interesting, is your femininity, how you would feel comfortable with love, the giving out of love. Again, these are just, generalizations.
Right.
Yours is in Virgo. So to me, that would imply that you like to serve people. You're a server, and that you would like it if your mate was also serving to you. Extending themselves to you. Your Mars, which is the ideal mate that you'd be attracted to, is in Cancer. So it definitely means that you would be attracted more to somebody who is extremely sensitive oriented. Of course, once the Cancerian is open and not closed. Sensitive oriented and more compassionate.
In other words, I would need someone in my life that's sensitive and compassionate.
More coming from the heart or the soul. From the heart. Some people come from the mind more. They're more cerebral. But somebody who's coming more from the heart.
Would be maybe a warmer person too,
Yeah,
huh?
and a warmer person.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And your Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, is in Cancer. I'm sorry, is in Aries. So that would imply that that's a very slow-moving planet. It also would imply that you like to start things.
Yes.
You might not always finish things, but you like to start things. That's the
true,
Aries
too.
in you, okay? And it's something to be watchful of if you have a temper or hold in any anger.
No, I don't really.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and your Saturn is in Virgo. Saturn is the planet of restriction, we'll say, of the wise sage, and it's in Virgo, which is also interesting. So I'm sure you see that you have an analytical side to you,
Oh, yeah.
in order to think.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is just, again, a synopsis of your personality, but how this is applied to relationships is another story. Because a lot of people would call me and they would give me their total birthday and their partner's total birthday in whatever type of relationship it is, and then I simply look up the two different birthdays, and then you see what the problem is, the issue is, okay? So
What the differences and what the things that are the same might be too.
The same meaning.
Meaning, where they're both on the same page, the same wavelength, whereas when there's differences, they're not on the same page.
Right. Yes. Okay. In other words, if your Mars is in Cancer, automatically, if you met somebody, just from your total birthday, if somebody had a lot of fire signs in them,
Yeah.
like a lot of Aries, a lot of Sag, a lot of Leo, I'm not sure it would work with you. Because they tend to be more on the domineering side, that they want things their way, so to speak. Not that there's anything wrong with it. But when you look up your total birthday, you need a lot of freedom. You need to be who you are, the seed, you know, or the core of you. You don't want really anybody taking away from your energy.
Right.
Now that might sound like a little diplomatic, but some people don't mind that. Some people don't mind being dependent, you know, dependent
You're absolutely right about me.
You know, but definitely you need somebody who's very, very independent.
Right. Well, I realize that everybody, even in a relationship, no matter what it is an individual has their own interests, their own things that they want to be doing for themselves, and they should be free to do that. And I feel the same way about me too. So anybody that I would partner with would have that freedom because I understand it.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, very.
Especially for you. Now, if somebody had a lot of, oh boy, it would depend if you want me. You want to go over any of the signs to see how that would connect in relationships?
Yes, let's do that. Let's go through the signs, and you can tell us all about how each sign does in a relationship.
Connect into relate. So we'll start with the first sign, which is
would be
Aries.
Aries. Okay, let's start with Aries. Go ahead.
And again, we're talking about signs relating to partnerships, relationships. You know,
right. Doesn't
some
matter
of the qualities.
any kind of relationship. Doesn't
Right.
necessarily.
Any type.
Not only romantic, but you know, friendships, business partnerships, all kinds of relationships.
Right. So we're going to look at the first sign again. There are 7 planets, and each planet has, you know, signs in them. So we're just saying if somebody has, for instance, as an example, a lot of Aries in those 7 planets, okay? If somebody had a lot of Aries in the 7 planets, you know that they need, in a relationship, to be extremely, extremely, extremely independent. You know, extremely independent. They need their minds to work in a creative way, you know?
This would be a person born under the sign of Aries as well.
Aries as well, but they might have Aries maybe in their Venus or their Mars and other planets.
Right.
So you know that they need a lot of independence.
Okay.
Now, if they didn't get a lot of independence from their partner, they could actually get very angry, because Aries tends to hold in anger, unless there was some balancing out with the rest of their birthday. But they tend to hold in. They tend to hold in anger, tend to hold it in, and sometimes it'll explode tremendously. You know?
That's what happens.
Okay, so the next sign is Taurus. If somebody had a lot of Taurus in their total birthday, I would say they'd definitely be ruled by financial security with their partner. That would be very important for them. You know, now also they tend to be stubborn. So their partner would have to be somebody that I would say not too flexible, because they wouldn't get along. But their partner would have to be also somebody had a little stubborn side. Maybe somebody who's very balanced, actually, could understand that they are extremely stubborn and could deal with that, you know? Because if you had 2 Tauruses together with a lot of, you know, Taurus in them, they wouldn't get anywhere, because this one would want to go this way.
And they'd both be stubborn.
And they wouldn't get, and there would be no scale. There'd be no harmony. You know, they'd be fighting all the time. And it is ruled by the bull that charges through the red light. You know, they don't even stop. In other words, a Taurus, they don't see the red light. If you ever listen to somebody who has a lot of Taurus in them, they might be I've noticed that. I talk, but it doesn't matter what I say, because they're not getting it anyway. They're just going to keep on asking the same question, no matter if you'll want to hear the question or not. They're not hearing you. Okay? So again, we're talking about somebody who might have a lot of Taurus in the 7 planets. You know, we don't want to just be critical upon one. We're just analyzing.
Right.
So the sign after Taurus
would be Gemini.
Gemini. Okay? Gemini needs to communicate. Right? So if they had a partner that was not at all that did not communicate too well, such as maybe somebody who had a lot of Scorpio in them, I think they might have some interesting stories, because the Gemini needs to talk, they need to communicate, but the Scorpio part in them holds things in a lot of times. So there might be some difficulties in communication, and communication is pretty important when it comes to relationships.
Oh, absolutely. It's the most important thing, wouldn't you think?
Right.
You have to be able to tell the other person what's on your mind.
What's on your mind, to be open to it.
Yes.
Somebody who has a lot of Scorpio in them, they're not open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they really are shut down a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be a better detective than they are to figure out what they really have in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and that's hard.
Okay. And the sign after Gemini
Cancer.
is Cancer,
Right.
which you are.
That's me.
And Cancerians, you would need, if somebody has a lot of Cancer signs in them, in their planet, I would say Cancerians definitely would not get along with somebody, I would say, actually probably with a lot of Virgo in them.
Really?
Because that sign, Virgo, tends to be critical, you know. And Cancerians, when they get disappointed,
Yeah.
they shut down like a clam.
We go into our shell.
Right.
That's
You ever
right.
see that with you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you need a crowbar to open it. You know, sometimes it can be shut down for a while
Yeah.
because it might even go into your subconscious.
And we don't come out till we're good and ready.
Okay. Okay. And probably when you're good and ready is when you feel encouraged to come out.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so if somebody had a lot of Virgo signs in their total birthday, again, like those 7 planets,
Mm-hmm.
that might not be the best mate because, again, their natural core is to be critical. And that Cancerian, with its sensitivity, unless you want to walk around with a shell over you all the time, you know, I don't think would be the best match.
No, sometimes though we do tend to do that because we're very sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
and if something hurts us, we just go into that shell, and we don't want to be bothered because we don't want to be hurt anymore.
Okay. Some people might even think it's selfish, but it's not.
Mm.
Do you ever get that?
No, I just
Not that you are, but some people might not understand that. They might not understand why you go in the shell.
right. No.
So then they might think it's selfish because you're not reaching out. But it's more the Cancerian is protecting themselves. They have a soft shell. I think they soft side and that hard shell. You know, when they walk on the sand, they don't walk straight a crab. The crab goes like this. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's
they go-
cautious
Yes, very cautious.
before it gets to where it wants to go.
That's right. And then sometimes it even backs up.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're ever in a room, you know, and it's a few Cancerians just sitting there with their zodiac sign. I know I have my niece, she's Cancer. You can see them, they're sitting there, but they got these antennas on, like a cat, and they're kind of like feeling everybody out in the room, but they're not saying anything. You know, they're just digesting it.
Yeah. Just taking it all in.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But we can be outgoing too.
Right.
But not until
Once
after
it's
we.
open.
Yeah, once
and
things
so
are
you're
open.
comfortable. You wouldn't be here also if you're not comfortable with this set.
Right.
Okay, because their home is also very important to them.
Oh yeah.
You know, their home.
Absolutely.
Their space.
Oh yeah.
And their home could be where they work. It could be anywhere where they place themselves, the space. But the home is very, very important to them.
Oh yeah. Very important. The home. When we go away, after a while, all we can think about is getting back home.
Home, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the sign after, let's see, we did Cancer, and then the
Next one's Leo.
right, Leo. And Leo, of course, wants to shine a lot. They're ruled by the lion.
Ah.
They need to roar.
Uh-huh.
So it's either the lion or the lioness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now if somebody had a lot of Leo in their total birthday, okay, and their partner would be very controlling over them, like we'll say Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
As we say in Brooklyn, forget about it. It wouldn't work. You know, it
Yeah.
would be because the Leo would lose. It would go. Probably they'd be into more dramatic stuff just to make sure they got the attention. But it would be more of a war than anything because the Scorpio likes to control. And again, each sign has a high and a low. I'm talking about like the low end of Scorpio is very controlling. The high end can be very spiritual. But the low end, meaning like a lower soul, you know, of Scorpio needs to control. They really need, it's like in them, they need to control. Okay, but the Leo would not like that because if the Scorpio is trying to control them, the Leo would say, well, I thought I was the center of the attention over here. Where are you coming from? You know, there would be definitely some big arguments.
I'll bet. I heard a long time ago, too, that Leos were not easy to get along with either, generally.
It depends. I think it really depends. An interesting connection with that is you had a president, Clinton. President Clinton was Leo.
Oh, yeah?
And this is, again, going back to zodiac signs, and his wife, of course, is Scorpio.
Uh-oh.
And this is what we're talking about.
Oh, wow.
But you see, but in their case, I've been reading, they must talk 7 times a day, but because of the rest of this stuff in it. It's not, again, just the zodiac sign. He has 2 Libras in there, Venus and Mars. So he talks very well. Libras rule by talking, you know, a great orator. And he likes to please the other. So it's not just the zodiac sign, you know?
I see. All right, our next sign is Virgo.
Virgo. If somebody has a lot of Virgo in them, let's see, they work a lot. They need to serve a lot. You know, they're also very family-oriented, traditional-oriented.
My father was a Virgo, so was my sister.
And were they very family-oriented?
My father, yeah.
Serving other
yeah.
people?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
They need to do that.
All the time.
Yeah, they need to do that. They extend themselves that way. But if they had a sign, let's see, what would that was very, I'd say Aries-oriented, I don't think that would work, you know, because that sign needs to do things like right away and can be more self-oriented, you know? So there would be a conflict with that. One would like to serve the family or others, and Aries tends to, if they have a lot of Aries, again, in the 7 planets, you know, tends to be more self-oriented. So there would be conflicts with that.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, we have Libra next.
Now, Libra is a sign of harmony, the scale. And it's ruled by partnership. So they need to feel that they're involved with somebody in a partnership all the time.
Libras do.
Yeah. So if, in fact, I have a few clients, they have, in fact, several clients, they have a lot of Libra in them. And of course, they are good clients because they're going to call me because they're concerned about their partnership. You know, there are certain signs they're going to call more often because they're more involved with or concerned about partnerships.
I see, and they'll be more.
And they'll ask more questions.
Have more questions.
Right.
Yeah.
If a Virgo calls, 9 out of 10 they could ask about work, you know. But when a Libra calls, 9 out of 10 they'll ask about partnership, but more personal partnership.
Romantic partnerships,
Right.
and friendships and things like
Right,
that.
or mother and child.
Right, right.
So since they're into partnership, and it can be constructive, that's why I said or sometimes destructive. So sometimes a Libra has a hard time getting out of a partnership because they just need to feel they're involved with somebody in a partnership.
So they might hang into a relationship that was not serving them just because they needed that connection.
They need it exactly just to have the connection.
Oh.
And it's sad because I've seen that happen.
It's very sad when that happens because
for years.
Yeah, if somebody's making you unhappy, I mean, get away from them. You're better off alone anyway.
Yeah, they actually stay in it for years. I've seen that.
Wow.
And destructive. I know some women, they're obsessed with a partner, and sometimes the man is married, you know.
Oh,
they're single, the man is
good.
married, and but they feel they have an obsession to get into that partnership, you know, because that's who they're identifying with, you know. So if they were connected to somebody who was not at all into partnerships, that would be very destructive, you know. Aquarius tends to be very free-spirited, and so that would not necessarily work, even though it's the same element, air. The Aquarian needs to do their own thing, and the Libra always needs to feel they're connected to somebody else.
Yeah. And what about Scorpio now?
Now, if somebody has a lot of Scorpio in their total birthday, and again, each sign has a high and a low, you know, they tend to be very passionate and intense, very intense. So there's no way, I can't see a very intense Scorpio with somebody who's got a lot of signs in, like, we'll say Gemini, because Gemini is more mental, you know, communication, you know, they need to talk, but they're not necessarily intense with their heart chakra. So you could see how that could not necessarily connect too easily.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So let's move along to Sagittarius.
Sagittarius tends to be very, very open-minded. You know, their mind is extremely important to them. And they would definitely need somebody very open-minded in a relationship, progressive-minded, you know, that's going to go forward. They're ruled by the arrow, the archer. And that archer needs to go forward. So if they were connected to somebody that was not at all, you know, progressive-minded, you know, very narrow-minded or restricted, that would not work at all. It wouldn't work at all.
I see. I see. And what
Then
if-
you have Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Capricorn tends to be very ambitious. And so if somebody has a lot of Capricorn signs in their planets, if they were connected to somebody who was not at all ambitious.
Now, my rising sign is
in
Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Right.
Okay, so that would be how you are appearing to be, or sometimes we'll have all the parts come together. You know, so I would think you have an ambitious side to you, you know, a business side to you. You know, somebody who wants to, because all of your birthday is very independent. Side also that would like to do her own thing eventually. I mean, totally her own thing, her
Yeah.
own business, you know, which you are doing now,
Right. Yeah.
right? You know? So Capricorn would tend to also be want to connect to somebody who is also tend to be ambitious, and the word respect is very important to them. So if they were connected to somebody who was again more self, it wouldn't work, you know, because they really need to hear that word respect a lot.
You're absolutely right.
And loyalty.
Yes, absolutely. Because I know that, all right, I'm a Cancer, but my Capricorn rising, and I do see some of the traits of Capricorn in me, and what you just said was absolutely true. Yes, absolutely. Respect is very important to me.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't get it from a friend or somebody you felt bonded to,
Right.
because Capricorns are really involved with friends.
Yes.
The concept of friendship.
Yes, yes.
And I'm noticing that more and more. I'm also a Capricorn.
Yeah,
but
no, if I don't get
it's
respect
very
from somebody, I
important.
walk away from
Yeah,
them.
it's
Even
very
if the
important.
relationship is a long,
Right,
close relationship, if they stop showing me respect, I'm out of there.
right. Very
Yeah.
important. And loyalty.
Yeah.
If you were ever connected to somebody in a partnership and you found that your partner was not loyal, you would be out of there.
Yeah.
Some people, it doesn't mind them. It really doesn't mind them. They don't have the loyalty concept in them, so they can deal with it.
Yeah.
But the sign Capricorn would have a very difficult time dealing with
See, I just learned something about myself now.
it. Okay, good.
We always learn things about ourselves.
good.
We don't all know ourselves as well as we think we do.
Right, right, good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
good.
Okay, let's
And it's
go on
also
to-
the goat that needs to go to the top of the mountain.
Uh-huh.
It's ruled by that.
Right, right, right.
So you might see yourself, I mean, but it's a slow process. It's not a quick fire sign element that has to have it tomorrow or today, like Aries wants it yesterday. You know, you need to do it slowly and
Oh yeah,
cautiously.
and be careful and know what I'm doing and make sure I'm doing the right thing.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. That's the Capricorn in me
Right,
then, huh?
right.
Interesting. How about Aquarius now?
Well, Aquarius is extremely, extremely free-spirited, and they need that. The mind is so important to them that they can think when they want to think, you know, and only when they want to think. You know, they have a stubborn side. It's a very humanitarian side. So if they were connected to somebody somehow who is very self-oriented, I would think there would be a lot of conflict, because in one way the Aquarius likes to extend themselves to other people, not serving as a Virgo, but more in a humanistic way, humanitarian way. So they need a lot of freedom of their mind. It's very important for them. They could not tolerate somebody who had a lot of fire signs, I don't think.
Okay. And last but not least, we have Pisces.
Pisces. Well, Pisces, of course, is ruled by the fish and the emotions and the heart. And they're gentle souls, you know? So they need a gentle soul partner. You know, somebody who, again, was very gentle.
Like themselves? I mean, Pisces and Pisces?
Well, yes, or allow them to be who they are, because they can be very, they don't look at sometimes they just overlook things, you know? You know, but they can tend to overlook the bad, you know, because they're so elevated. I mean, the real